We're going to read a couple of times. In Mark chapter 3 and verse 20, it says, "Then the multitude came together so that they could not so much as eat bread." In other words, there's so many people packed together that they couldn't do lunch or dinner or whatever they could eat. So verse 21, "And when he had his own people," capital H, Jesus, "when his own people heard about it, they went out to lay hold of him, for they said he's out of his mind." Okay, so Mary and Jesus' brothers came to Jesus because they heard about what he was doing and they thought he lost his mind. It was an intervention. They wanted to intervene in Jesus, apprehend him to stop talking and doing what he was doing. All right? Verse 21 again. "When his own people heard about this, they went out to lay hold of him, for they said he's out of his mind. And the scribes who came down from Jerusalem said, he is Beelzebub. By the rulers of demons, he casts out demons." So what was Jesus doing? He was taking authority over demonic spirits. So let's just look at the timeline. For 30 years, Jesus is with his family, a carpenter. He's never done any miracles. He's never cast out a demon. He's never raised someone from the dead. He's never gone into public ministry. He gets baptized by the Holy Spirit, and now he's casting out demons. He's speaking different. He's living different. He has this power on him, and everybody's beginning to wonder, what's he doing? What is he doing? Why is he doing this? Clearly, they didn't say it's a circus show. He's not doing it. He had results. They're saying he cast out demons by demons, right? So verse 23, "And he called them to himself and said to them in a parable, 'How can Satan cast out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan is risen up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand, but has an end.'" It says, now verse 27 teaches us what one of his missions on earth was. "No one can enter a strong man's house," that's Jesus coming into the world, "plunder his goods, unless he first binds the strong man, and then he will plunder his house." Jesus always had authority, you'll see in this series, to bind demons. He always had authority to take authority over demons. When he was baptized in the Holy Spirit, he came down to give us that ability. He came down to bring us up to where he is. It says, "Surely I say to you, all sins will be forgiven of the sons of men, whatever blasphemies they may utter. But he who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit never has forgiveness, but is subject to eternal condemnation." I'll explain that in a second. "But they said, he has an unclean spirit." Then his brother and his brothers, Jesus had brothers. Jude, who wrote the book of Jude, was his brother. James, who wrote the book of James, was his brother. Came and standing outside, and they called to him. And a multitude was sitting around him, and they said to him, "Look, your mother and your brothers are outside seeking you." He answered and said to them, "Who is my mother or my brother?" He looked around at the circle of those that sat about him, and he said, "Here's my mother and here's my brothers. For whoever does the will of God is my brother and my sister and my mother." So Jesus let his mother stay outside and his brothers stay outside because they tried to intervene. He shot one across their bow. Now they all got it together and they understood what was going on shortly. But what I want you to see, when you take these two together, Jesus had a noticeable change in him in what he did and how he did it after the baptism of the Holy Spirit. After he was endued with power, where the Bible asks us to wait until we be endued with power, right? Acts chapter 1. that there was a difference in him. They seen something that they didn't understand. They seen that he lost his mind in their minds, in their hearts, and so as a result of it, when you take these two together, when we receive the baptism of the Holy Spirit, we are ready for battle. And when we have that power and that authority, and we'll get into it in the series, as we go through it. So I want to try to understand why and who we're fighting. And it all stems back to what I call the angelic conflict. It all stems back to Satan's fall. When you look at the history of creation, Satan's fall occurred way before Adam and Eve were created. Could be millions of years. We don't know. But it was way before. And, when we come to the garden and Adam and Eve are created, he's already Satan. He's already fallen. He already has his MO. He already, knows how he thinks. And so, Satan's fall created what we call the demonic realm today. And Satan was the god of this earth before his fall. He was here on earth. And we're going to look at that. We're going to see it.